Welcome once more to Shipping TV at the port of Ramsgate in Kent, where we're again looking at the live animal export ship Jolene, which sails between here and Calais several times a month these months, September and October, as she transports lorries loaded with sheep, mostly cull ewes from British flocks, over to France, where they're expected to be ritually slaughtered in the Muslim Eid celebration or festival, which takes place around now. From my point of view, I come and film it because I think it's an unnecessary trade. These animals should be slaughtered in British abattoirs by British workers and exported as meat. As it is, they get exported abroad live, and goodness only knows what happens to them when they get there. Our understanding is that they're often sold off to individual families who slaughter them in the street, in their back garden or wherever. It sounds disgusting, and it seems entirely unnecessary to me. I think it's a blot on the escutcheon of British shipping, and I think really we should do something about this and put a stop to it. It's the last bit of trade at the almost derelict port of Ramsgate, and the sooner Ramsgate closes, I think the better. Tell me what the police officer has been saying to you.
We have obstructed the road like this today,
Right.
in such a fashion that the lorries cannot easily gain entry to the port. The police officers have informed us that they are not obliged to stand between us and the lorries. They are under no obligation at all to protect us in that way. And this is relatively new legislation, I'm informed. I'm not aware of this yet, and I'll be looking it up later to try and see what the situation is with regards to that.
Stop the needless slitting of throats of 3,000
That's right.
That's it, really.
That's it, okay. I mean, you guys have been supporting this for some time, haven't
We
you?
will never give
Come
up.
down
We'll be here all the time until they stop.
Come down and help.
Where do you see it going? Because the port here, the Thanet District Council, seem determined to continue with this trade as well.
They are in compliance with EU trade law that says this is
Don't end up
lawful
thinking I wish I'd
trafficking,
done
if
that.
you will.
Come and do
But do you
it.
think they have to?
No, they don't have to.
Half of the course. Half of the course. Another example of the police acting in their best interest.
We've got this disgusting trade happening in the port of Ramsgate, on the doorstep of Thanet, and it's been happening here now for almost 3 years. And I just wonder what needs to be done to stop this cruel and barbaric trade. I mean, the only thing actually, the port of Ramsgate is on its knees, and the live export trade is probably one of the few things where it's earning money from, which is rather ironic. I really feel there needs to be a proper review of the future of Ramsgate Port. I think competing against Dover, it's just never going to happen. And I think the council who owns the port really needs to face reality that there is no future. The port should be closed down. We should be looking at alternative uses like leisure, turning it into a marina, joining it in with the Royal Harbour. And if the port is closed, then of course this barbaric trade that's operating from Ramsgate will be closed down with it. So that's what I'm arguing for on the council, to have a look at a new future for the port which will generate income and put an end to this awful trade as well.
When we look at this trade, it's moved about the country as well, hasn't it? It's been to Dover.
Yeah, it's been to Dover, and I understand that there's some issues about the berth that it used to use. I don't believe those issues have been resolved, so it's back in Ramsgate. and it's been on the East Coast as well, which I think proved to be far too long. The journey time was far too long, so Ramsgate is probably the most convenient port for them to use, and probably the cheapest as well. It's £1,000 a shipment that they're charged by the council. I've seen the receipts, plus they're charging an additional £430 per sailing to cover the cost of the additional security. I just found that out yesterday in a Freedom of Information request. Whether they're paying the additional £430 has not been told to me, but so they're paying about £1,400 a sailing, which, considering what they're doing, I think it's cheap at the price.
I mean, the thing that I've always had trouble with is working out the economics of the whole operation.
Well, I've scratched my head over and over again. I cannot see how they make any money on it. You've got the Jolene, somebody's paying for that. There's got to be a loan or a mortgage on it, and that must have cost hundreds of thousands of pounds to buy. You've got the crew of the ship, you've got the drivers. I can't work out the economics, even if they're making a pound or two per animal. It just doesn't add up. There must be something else at work here, which I wouldn't like to guess, but something else must be going on.
This sailings protest was attended by an estimated 80 protesters. The exporters did their best to reduce the numbers by initially providing a lorry arrival time of around 10 o'clock, then delaying the vehicle's arrival until around 1 o'clock, hoping that the protesters would reduce in number, but this just didn't happen. Some of the protesters did go away for a while, but they returned. The police, attending in greater numbers than we've ever filmed before, had no choice but to stay, eating into Kent's already hard-pressed police budget to protect a private business venture.
Remember that, everyone. On the 5th of September, Sergeant McCall of Kent Police tried to kill protesters. Terrorists had tried to kill protesters. 10 police tried.
Okay, you can still, yeah, you're one minute. Okay, can you move? Instead of being obstructive, you just need to move. You need to move. Which leads you to move. Everyone else, thank you. Underwater, black, everyone else to move.
We're here for
The inspector wants both the inspectors.
see those sheep jammed in them bloody trucks.
This is okay. Anyone got a tongue? Do you think it's right, this?
Oh, we have ways of finding out everything. You can find out everything you like to say.
We do not want this cruel and unnecessary trial.
You are not wanted in Ramsgate, live explosives. You are not wanted in Ramsgate. Do not want your barbaric ritual slaughter. In Ramsgate. This activity is illegal in the UK. You're not welcome in this country. Get out! Go away! You are not wanted in Ramsgate. This activity is illegal in the UK. Go away! You evil people!
Really? You are
You are not wanted in Ramsgate. You're not wanted. You're not wanted. You're scamming the air. Fuck
ideally what should happen is that, as there's no other trade here, this port should close.
Right.
And then there would be nowhere for them to go.
Because there's nothing happening here, is there?
There's nothing at all. No, there is a small aggregate business,
Right.
but that can be shifted elsewhere. There are places at Dover it could happen. There was a place at Folkestone it could happen. It can move. Brits don't need it. There are lots of people locally that have joined us, and of course they can't all be here on a given day because of child-minding duties, school duties, parental duties, you name it, everything. But generally speaking, we get 60 upwards on the morning sailing. The local people that are so against this trade is tremendous. If you looked around here, there's about 8 or 9 from Dover area, and the rest are all here.
Right.
That's how strong it's growing.
So people in Ramsgate actually care about this trade?
Yeah, very much so. Ramsgate and Margate, very much so.
There's no future for this trade, is it?
There's no future for this trade. However, as long as Europe keeps saying it's legal, and Great Britain has to do as it's told, this will continue. What is a little bit scary is that all the decent traders have left, and we're left now with criminals. So it's almost like the Dutch mafia running this now, and until such times as they are brought to book, they'll keep this trade going.
When we go back to the port situation, the council owns the port, but this must be just costing the council tons and tons of money to keep the whole thing going just for one little diddy boat.
Yeah, I think what they've tried to do is there is a set charge that they can for the length of the boat. The security we're led to believe Underwater is paying for, in addition to the berthing fees, but that still makes it a lot cheaper than, say, Dover or Calais, so he's still onto a winner.
Okay, well, we'll come back and see you again, but it'd be nice if we didn't have to, wouldn't it?
It would be very, very nice, and that is the aim, you know, and I've probably said this before. There is no actual income, not a penny's worth of income for the whole of Great Britain out of this trade. And jobs are lost, drivers' jobs, slaughtermen's jobs, butchers' jobs, they're all lost, and it's time we should say enough is enough.
And that's it from me, Chris Gosling, for Shipping TV here on the Western Harbour Wall at Ramsgate in Kent, where we've been watching the little Jolene load up her 7 wagons full of sheep to go to the continent for slaughter. No one really knows what happens to these animals once they get there. The word is that some of them are slaughtered in people's back gardens to help celebrate Eid, the Muslim festival. Some of them are probably thrown around the place in pretty disgusting abattoirs. Goodness knows, but I imagine that the exporters must make quite a lot of money on them because they buy them at British market prices apparently, and then they transport them to France, to Belgium, to Turkey, to goodness knows where else, and sell them and can cover the costs of that hugely expensive transport operation. So quite how the numbers work, well, your guess is as good as mine.